big kid. Fuck now, cause it never to this bitch. And I be rockin' powder like the devil in this bitch. And the breaking bad like the cold metal to this bitch. Lord.
What is up, my civil? It's your boy Buckmeister, twice the nice that you are used to. Bam! We are here, and today we are checking out. Some, oh boy, Dear White People, the N-Word, Part 1, with Trey Melvin. Trigger warning. So, link is in the description down below. Please go check it out for yourself. Are you guys ready? Let's do it. Let's go. Trey Melvin. Hey, what is with this intro though? It is crisp.
Hello, beautiful people. All right, so I'm just gonna hop right on into this. Dear white people, PewDiePie, whatever the fuck Banks, every white YouTuber and or white person who like to defend other white YouTubers and or white people after they slip up and or willingly say nigger and or nigga. And I hate to say it, but I gotta send a carbon copy to non-black people of color as well. Just everybody that ain't black. Everybody that ain't black, listen the fuck up. Your opinion of the N-word and how and when it should and should not be used does not fucking matter. Okay? And I just can't believe that we are a couple months away from 2018 and I still have to exhaust my precious energy and sit my black ass here and explain to you why. But if I don't, who will? Just a generous heads up to white people and non-black people of color who obviously think that this is a simple issue to attack. My commentary on this subject matter is going to be very, very long. Because it's very, very long, I'm going to separate it into two parts. Part 1 will consist of how your use of the term nigga disenfranchises my black ass. And part 2 will consist of the linguistic and pragmatic use of the term nigga. Big words being used here, I know. Let's begin. Part 1. Quick question, white people and non-black people of color. How many of you are in any way, shape, or form affected by the terms nigger and or nigga? None of you? I might be going out on a limb here, but I fucking thought so. Your use of nigga makes me feel unsafe. It makes me feel as though I am in danger. Whether or not you mean to inflict harm using the term, I still feel that way. My black ass still feels that way. Black people still feel that way. Your use of nigga validates the white man who owned and raped my great-grandmother in Mississippi, who gave birth to my biracial grandfather, who created my mother. It validates the high school and college education that my grandparents were not fortunate enough to receive simply because the color of their skin was a little too dark. It validates my light-skinned mother hiding on the floor of her dark-skinned stepfather's car every single time he was behind the wheel out of fear that white people would assume that she was white and that he kidnapped her. It validates the guns that were pointed at my forehead by the police department of Fairborn, Ohio, after I was accused of looting and breaking into a home in their predominantly white suburb. It validates my arrest that day. It validates the time I spent in jail that day. It validates the insignificance of my innocence that day. It validates the countless times I've been pulled over by the police simply for driving on the wrong side of town. It validates my inability to trace my family tree, my bloodline, back to its African roots because let's be honest, my ancestors were brought to this country against their will and completely and utterly stripped of everything. It validates Google's ability to take money out of my pocket, to refuse to pay me for my time, to demonetize this video and 100% of my videos that address my pain, that address injustice because it's too controversial, because it isn't brand friendly. It validates every single white person that I've come into contact with since the day that I learned how to utilize my tongue, who have labeled me not black enough because I speak proper English. It validates every black person person I've ever come across who has labeled me not black enough because I speak proper English. It validates the term fair skin, referring to lighter skin, and society's favor of men and women with Eurocentric traits and features. It validates the media's dehumanization of black features on black people, but praised on white people. It validates the exclusion of dark-skinned black women in commercials and fashion shows and cosmetic lines. It validates the employers and school principals who have fired and suspended black women because the natural hair that grows out of their scalps is not relaxed enough for their liking. It validates the jobs that black women and black men are deprived of solely based upon their Afrocentric names. It validates your privilege to mock and belittle and judge black women and black men based solely upon their Afrocentric names. It validates the staggering statistic that mathematics classes in high poverty high schools are twice as likely to be taught by a teacher with a credential other than mathematics. It validates the staggering statistic that science class teachers at high poverty high schools are 3 times as likely to be credentialed in areas other than science. It validates every single outdated textbook, every single textbook in short supply, every single outdated computer, every single outdated form of technology, inadequate or non-existent science equipment, materials, and labs, lack of creative art, and the significant lag in the amount and variety of college preparatory or advanced placement offerings in high poverty schools opposed to schools serving more advantaged populations. It validates the estimated 4 million cases of housing discrimination each year from the National Fair Housing Alliance. It validates Sandra Bland and Philando Castile and Tamir Rice and Michael Brown and Trayvon Martin and Eric Garner and so on and so forth's unlawful deaths at the hands of the police. It validates your privilege to say they were killed because they were thugs. It validates your privilege to say if Sandra Bland were to have used her turn signal that day, then she would not have died. It validates your privilege to label black people who kill black people black on black crime. It validates your privilege to mock the amount of black people who kill black people as if you have an ounce of an idea what it is like to grow up in high poverty areas and the vicious bloodshed cycle of growing up in high poverty areas. It validates your privilege to tell me to get over slavery as if the effects of slavery do not affect me to this day. It validates your privilege to tell me, well, if one black person can do it, why can't the rest of you? It validates the fairly simple fact that I have to sit here and waste my beautiful time and my beautiful energy explaining this to you because you're too fucking lazy to ask Siri. It validates your privilege to avoid asking Siri because you are not impacted. It validates the simple fact that this country had to greenlight my existence the year that my mother and my father were born. This country gave my blackness permission to be and breathe the year my mother and my father were born. My parents were born the same year that my people were constitutionally given the right to vote. Your use of nigga validates hundreds of years of inhumane pain and suffering in the form of kidnapping, middle passage, slavery, family separation, rape, dismemberment, murder, terrorism, institutionalized segregation, redlining, profiling, and public school pipeline to adult incarceration. Most of you can't even spell public school pipeline to adult incarceration. Google it. You sit there and you use the term and someone corrects you and you scream at the top of your white and non-black people of color lungs, but I'm not a racist, 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 but I'm not a racist. And I am absolutely convinced that none of you actually know what racism is. White people's definition of racism is hurt feelings instead of what it actually is, which is the systematic destruction of an ethnic group. Fuck your hurt feelings. You sit there offended when black people ask you not to use the term, and it is simply mind-boggling. When the fuck did this become about you? Why is everything about you. Everything is not about you. Black people cannot police what you should and should not say when we are not around. But when we are around, please stop telling us what we should and should not be offended by, what we should and should not be affected by, when you and your humanity are in no way, no shape, and no form affected yourself.
First things first. Black people, I love you out there. You are loved. First things first is, guys, all this energy that you have, I just want to tell you right now, let's put it to work. Okay? If this is how you feel, if this is how it feels inside, first thing first is we gotta link up together. Doesn't matter what, who, where, it doesn't matter how weird you are, it doesn't matter if you speak improper English or proper English. This is enough. This right here, it's enough. And it should be enough, alright? Subscribe to him based on this. That's what I'm saying. Okay? That's the only way we're gonna work this out. But anyway, if you guys liked this video, please like, share, and subscribe. If you did not, that is your business. And I'll see you all in another video because Master Man's gotta be out. Peace.